So hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, we will be mostly learning about all the technical things today. We will be mostly covering the routing of PHPTRAVELS, how the router is working in our application, and then we will be working with the database. These two are two major things we are going to cover in this video. And from today, we will be learning directly from our official documentation page. In previous video, we have been our own customized documentation, but I have decided this is even better because we have so many content over here. So this is the website. The link is docs.phptravels.com, and most of the content we will be going through in all the tutorials and learning videos. It will be under the developers. So you can click on for developers and then we can see the first chapter, which is routing. So this is the complete router page, and before I begin, I hope everything is clear, the voice is clear. So if there's any problem, you guys can stop me and ask me any question. So this is the basic, the main router in the entire software. Let me check if my Visual Basic, yes, it's opened. Okay, so this is the main router we are using in our platform. The router has so many beautiful and great features. This was typically designed and developed by my own self. I was inspired by the Laravel router. It has so many good things to develop. A very simple application. So it has a router library. We will understand the router library, how it works, then the architecture of this router, then the complete definition of this router, then how the HTTP methods are working, then the URL parameters, how we are passing these parameters to the router, then router organization, advanced features, best practices, common patterns, and troubleshooting. This complete guide is available online. Anybody can access to this page and read the entire router documentation. So on the introduction, this is PHPTRAVELS version 10, uses the lightweight, fast and flexible routing system powered by, this is the packages link. This is my profile. I have built this router. You can simply just or go over there and understand more about this library. So what this router does is the routing is mechanism that helps incoming HTTP requests, URLs to specify code handlers, functions, controllers instead of creating separate PHP files. Every page, the router redirects all requests through a single entry point and executes the appropriate code based on the URL pattern. So in the typical and legacy world, we used to, when we build a core PHP application, we need to run any file directly with their extension like .php. So if there is any a page we created on a website, and if there's any link, so we need to mention the .php file. So what router does is router will make the routing completely SEO friendly and very clean without exposing the exact technology what we are using, whether it's PHP, JavaScript, or any other language. So we can have a very clear routing in our URLs. Right now, if you can see docs.phptravels.com, you don't see end of this page .php, C sharp, or whatever any other language, which means the routing, there is some routing mechanism in being used. Exactly this is what our router does in the PHPTRAVELS. So the main benefits of this router is it's SEO friendly, like we don't need to use extension PHP. It's readable and memorable. We can make a short URLs, professional appearance, centralized. All routes are defined in one location. Easy to maintain, update, clear application structure, extract values from URL path. Like we can add some values in the URLs, and then we can get, for example, when we edit any user, we can pass the user ID in the URL, and then we can get the user ID on the second page when the page loads, definitely, because this is a backend programming language. So on the second page load, we can get the URL ID and then pass to database and get the information. Flexible patching pattern, RESTful API support as well, and then security is a single entry point for all requests. Like we have a very secure platform. If there is an attacker is looking to attack on various or multiple URLs, there is going to be a very secure mechanism in that. So it's a very secure. consistent authentication checks, centralized error handling, performance, efficient pattern matching, no file system, lookups for every request, optimized for speed. And again, this is the library available on the package. Just anybody can download it. The complete size of the library is only just 300 lines, and zero dependencies, only PHP. Like any PHP version above 5.3 can be used in using this router. And I use this based on the regex based pattern matching system. It supports RESTful HTTP method supports and closure. We also have a callback support in the router. We have a namespace support for controller, service injection capability, route grouping with prefixes. So the installation is very simply, anybody can, like beside this project PHP Travels, anybody can just copy this composer and go to the terminal and run this. And once they run the composer, they will get a vendor with my name by QAXIM and the router library, and they can see all the, it's just the one single file which covers the entire routing system. So it has a maximum 300 lines of code, and it's a very powerful routing. Like it's nearby to Laravel routing system. So once you install, you will get the router installed in your composer, in your vendors, and then you just need to include the you need to require or include the autoload in your project, and that's it. After that, you just need to write the router logic. So this is how the router works. We need to type the router with definitely with the $sign router, and then the method. For example, we can use get, we can use post, whatever the method is, and then write the route name, like what is the URL you want to be hit, and then you write your complete handler. I have a very different approach for that, but this is a very basic information about the router. And for example, if you want to open any user ID from the URL, we can also add this restriction. So the developer or the person who is working with the application, they supposed to use only numbers. We can restrict with numbers. For example, if the user has user ID with certain unique user ID number, so we can add this prig match, what do you say, prig match condition. Yeah, so this is a prig match condition which allows you only just to use the numbers. You cannot add alphabets or anything else. And then again, you can add your handler like your view file or any other thing. Then we have a match based names, like we can use numbers and names and alphabets. So I will explain to you step by step how this is going to be done in our application. So this is all the HTTP support methods. Like we can use get, we can use post. So for example, if you want to put, if you want to delete any record, you can build all the router by default supports all these methods. And this is the very simple router mechanism we are using in our system. So for example, if you created a new router and you type this $sign router, then the method name like get, and then the name of the route, and then the function. You can pass any value to with the function. And then we have a title which we used to have on our website, like the web title. We are getting this directly from the database. So in my next after we cover the router, we will be going to learn about the database. So I will tell you how I am getting this information from the database as well. So this is the title of the page we are getting from database. Then description of the page we are also getting from the database. And I have used a very simple way of requiring files. So we have a header file. We have this constant of views, and we are including that header or in our application. And then we need to name of the file, whatever the route you create, you have to include the view file for that, and then the footer. That's it. I have followed a very basic core PHP fundamentals. Then the router supports can be controlled with the different control classes and methods. Definitely, I'm going to give you more references how we are doing with our application in this. And then we are using a service injection, shared services like database. How we can, for example, in this, we are not sharing the db $sign database, the main variable of database, which is connecting the database with the platform. So we are not passing the variable of db. So in this approach, you cannot get the database directly. You have to use globals, and globals has some certain predefined database values only. So but now let's focus on the routing also. So this is how you can post or get your basic. So this is the architecture, how the database, how the router exactly working. So first, whenever you hit the main application, so or if you are searching for flights in PHP Travels, maybe you have the router method get. So it's going to flight, or if it's passing any informations. So before anything, what is happening in the platform is hitting index.php, the main file, which is this file. So whatever you do with the application, it's not going to hit any file system. It's only hitting you, whether you are using Apache or Nginx server environment. It's all the files are going to be hitting .php file, because we have this configuration in our htaccess file over here. Whatever comes, whatever request comes to our platform, it's definitely going to be to hit the index.php file with all the variables and all the information. And what does the application do? It reads from the system, it reads from the database, it reads from all the handlers, all the information, and then returns to the user. And also we are using a main file, which is underscore routes.php. I hope we are not going to change this structure, because if it changed, then many things going to be disturbed in the platform. You can follow the same pattern in our system. Sorry. So in routes folder, under the app folder, we have this file underscore routes, which has all the routes for files included. I hope many of you already know this. This is not something new for you. For example, let's say just few moments ago, I have created this route called, we have created routes for APIs, because we need to write these APIs so that we can connect the mobile application with our database. We are using another Flutter application to connect with our web-based system. So I have just created a new file under the API folder. I have named the folder API, and under that I have created another folder called named users. Under users, I have written this file login.php, and now this file I have included, if you see over here. So actually what I did is I have segregated every section into different file based systems, so that what we can do is, rather than writing 1,000 or 100 lines of code in a single file, I have segregated everything, every route to be available in different file. So it makes it very easy for any developer to understand where things are available and how to edit them. And in fact, that also helps everyone to see the code very precisely, rather than just having a few files with thousands of or hundreds of lines of code. So right now in this, in the routes API users login page, we all know we only have when API is getting hit by user login. So we only have that route available over here. We are still working on this. It's not completed, but definitely this is the main structure. So what you have to create a new folder or new file, and then you need to include that in the route. Whether if you're working on the admin side, you need to create the file over here, the include file. If there's an API, you can create with the API routes. If there's any modules, we have all the modules available. You can include them there. If there is any with components or users, so every section we have added its comment, and you can just include that file. So I hope it's pretty much clear. And how the router is dispatching the main function. So on index file, this is the main dispatch for the router. So whatever we have, controllers, views, everything end of the day comes to this function, which is dispatch global. you can see the library of, if you want to understand how the entire mechanism is working. So this dispatch does send all the data to the browser. And pattern matching process loop through routes for current HTTP method. Test each rejects pattern against request. And after this has been done, it sends the HTTP request. And then if the page is not found, if the route is found from the existing routes, it sends the data to the user. If the page is if the information is not found, then what does the router do? We have this 404 router. This runs because we have a 404 view file, for example, on our application. If we type login, so login route is already existing, so we will get the complete view. But let's add any alphabet or anything after login. So right now the router, because the main dispatcher of router is not finding this controller or router in our routing methods, so it's sending the browser to this router function. So router is showing us this router is not available. Let's continue. You can take your time to understand the entire infrastructure, and end of the day it sends to the browser. And this is the file structure right now we have, as I have, or as we have yesterday gone through the entire structure, the main index file, and then we have the config file, and then we have the htaccess file in the app folder, then routes. Then under the routes we have this main file underscore routes.php, which contains all the routing included files. Then main routes, for example, when we hit on our main website, the first route which is being to run on the main home page, it's available in the routes and main routes. This is the first and main route which is going to be executed. It's including the home page with a header and footer. And these are the components routes. You can check one by one how they are working, how the entire system is working. And then this is the htaccess file, which we already have gone through it. And what it does, it enables the rewriting URL module in Apache. Then it checks if there is any existing images, JavaScript serves directly. Then if it doesn't exist, send request to, for example, if you are hitting directly any image URL in the browser and that image is not available in our software, in our uploads folder, then the htaccess sends the user to index.php to show the error. Then it has some preserves query strings, Q and SA, then stops processing after match L. Route definition, this is the main HT404, as I have shown already. If the route was not found, so this is going to send to the 404 error. And this is how the entire route again is working. I have already explained it to you. You can just see or understand how the routing is work, because we have so many things. So definitely we cannot cover everything in our video. Because there is so many things rather than just the routing. Like there is database queries, there is variables for username, password. So I cannot take everything in this video, but this is the main routing in our entire platform, how the router works. We have this complete documentation. So anybody if want to create a new page, a new API, a new login page or sign up page or whatever, they must go through the router. They must create the file and then mention that file in the underscore routes.php and then write the complete logic under that area. So this is a very comprehensive and a very large document to understand how exactly the routing is working. So I hope for now it's much clear just to understand how exactly router is working. Now let's move to the last chapter of this video, which is database architecture. So let me just open the PHP my admin. And let's open PHPTRAVELS version 10. Yes, we have almost right now 32 tables right now, but after the few period of time it's going to be increased because the development is going on. So we are going to learn in this article about database structure, database system connection. Then we are using a library called MIDU, ORM, which is object relationship management. Then database schema, then DB operation, advanced queries, best practices, and troubleshooting. It's a very simple library. So let's open a MIDU library. And let's go to get started. And again, it's a very simple and lightweight, like the router you have seen already. We have this a very beautiful library, again inspired by framework Laravel. They are using almost the same library. So you just need to use Composer to require catfan-midu, and it installs the complete library in your project. Let's just close these files because they are done. Okay, so you can see the Midu over here, catfan, who is the founder or developer of this library. The library's name is Midu, and right now the version they are using is 2.2. I'm not sure if there is any upcoming updates about this, because 2.2 is being available in the market from last 2 years. But to be very honest, we found it very comprehensive library to work with the database, and it has so many good features. So let's get back to the documentation. So PHP Travels version 10 uses a robust database architecture built on MySQL MariaDB with the Midu PHP database framework, which this is a lightweight ORM, object relationship mapping or management library, provides a simple, secure, and efficient way to interact with the database while maintaining clean, readable code. Why Midu? Here is the answer. Lightweight and fast. Again, I love very lightweight dependencies. It's only 60 KB size with the zero dependencies. PDO based on optimal performance, minimal overhead compared to heavy ORMs. Like there are so many other ORMs, and they are so much heavy. When it comes to configuration, development, or testing, they are very tough to work with them. Security first, built-in SQL injection protection through prepared statements, automatic parameter binding and scrapping, no raw SQL strings in the production, developer-friendly initiative, array-based syntax, containable methods for complex queries, comprehensive error handling, multiple database support. I'm sorry. So you can use MySQL, MariaDB, Postgres, SQL. It's a very good option that if you are working with the MySQL database, and tomorrow if you want to change the entire database structure, you can simply just move on to another database like Postgres or SQLite. So database connection works directly from the environment file. So we have this environment file which is available in our platform .env, which contains all this information, like the name of the type of the database, then a name of the host, like mostly we use local host, and then name of username and password and name of database. And these are very important information you need to connect to the database. And this information we first add over here in the .env file. After that, we have this file config.php. Config.php gets all the database information from the env file. For example, we have this function written over here in the config file. First, check if .env file exists. If does not exist, the system directly redirect you to install application, so that you need to install the system. After that, what we do is the PHP is going to parse information from the env file into variable, and then we pass this information to the Midu library as a basic configuration. And this $DB is going to be with you in the entire platform, whether you are in views, whether you are in controllers like routes, whether you are in any file of PHP, you want to get information from the database, you can simply just write $DB, and the architect of the base connection or table name and parameters. You just send to the Medo, and Medo will going to get the entire database information for you. I'm going to show you how that works. So this is the main architect of Medo. And connection flow diagram, the application starts, then the application loads config.php, include index, as I have already told you about the router. Then the system reads first the env file and parse that information, like get all this information and send to the Medo for the database, and database connects with the TBO to the MySQL, and MySQL returns all the information, and we have a global variable $DB variable available across application, ready for database operations, so we can use it anytime in the system. And again, we have this config file, and this is how exactly the Medo works. So we have two ways. One, we can follow our documentation, and another way is we can follow how the Medo exactly works. They have their own documentation as well. If you are a developer and you want to understand more how it works, there is a complete set of information available over here. But I'm trying to go through with our documentation. So for example, if you want to get information of all the users, we just need to type select table name and static, like all the columns, and we have all the database available in all the data of users available in this variable. It's a very simple, we can get that on anywhere. Let me just give you a simple explanation. I'm not going to dig down or write so much of the code, but just to give you a simple explanation. For example, I'm going to on routes, and on the login page, for example, users login. So right now I am here under this route. Let me just first try to write die to make sure we are on the right page. So you can see it's died, nothing is coming. So before it dies, let me just type the same. Let me just copy paste instead typing. So you can see right now we are on the login page, and we have written just simple query. We asked DB, the main variable of the database, to select users with all the columns into the users variable, and then we DD that. DD means we print that with brackets, and what DD does is it's going to print, like we can use a simple print with the PHP with print R, like when you print the objects or arrays. So we have this function called DD. It's again inspired from the Laravel. Laravel has a function called DD, and they print in the entire, they echo or print the entire arrays in large databases. So what it does right now, it's going to get all the users from the database, and you can see right now we have, let's go to users. So as you can see now, we have two users in the super admin and Qasim, like me. So this is the super admin and this is the Qasim Hussain. So we can write so many different, we can pass different variables, we can pass different parameters to add some conditions. Definitely the entire login method has been done. Like as a developer, you don't need to change anything, but if you want to play with the database to change anything into the system, this guy is completely going to help you in that. And this was a very simple and basic way to help you to understand how the database is working. So whether you are on controller route page or whether you are directly in the view, right now I am on the route page, but we have included the login.php file. For example, if I go to views file under the auth and login, I can even type the same logic in the file, and I'm going to get the same result, because the DB is being used with this route. So whenever you want to use database connection directly with the route or with the view file, you have to pass this DB variable. I hope it's a very simple and easy. And again, this is a connection, and then we have an overview how the database works. We also can write a custom MySQL queries, but I don't recommend that, because if you want to change later on the database driver, like to Postgres or any other like SQLite, then it's going to have some issues for you. So it's better to follow the main procedure or the basic standard rather than writing the custom queries. And this is all the method references. Again, you can study the documentation. Definitely, it depends on what is your requirements, what exactly you want to achieve. And after that, you write your own logic. And after writing your logic, you need to understand which function or condition can help you to achieve that. So we have a complete documentation in our site, also on the Medu website as well. And this is some basic database schema just to help you understand how, like, the tables we are, what, like the core tables we have: users, settings, modules, currencies, languages, and countries. Then the booking tables, we have bookings, flights, hotels, all these tables. Then for the blog content, we have for the notifications, payments, we have a transactions table, credits table, invoice and refunds. Then logging tables, we log everything into the system. And again, we are using the same database Medu driver to log everything on every trigger or event happens on the website. We also have webhooks, we already have seen in the yesterday's video. Then we have another table, data tables like locations, cities, destinations. Then reference data, we have airports, airlines, and amenities. And this is the core. You don't have to do anything with this, but this is just the query of MySQL. If you want to create another table like users, so you can just copy this and run in your MySQL and import the entire users table. And all the fields we have over here with all the explanation, like what does the user underscore ID does. It's just a unique UUID for the users to identify them. And you can just go through the entire documentation. To create a bookings table, we have this SQL query, just copy and paste whether you want to use it. Then we have the logs tables, all information available there. So and again, these are so tiny things, it's not possible for me to capture everything in this video. I tried my best, and definitely this article also was written by me using AI, and I tried to explain as much as possible, and you can understand or read. And again, it depends completely on your requirements. Like you can see, if you want, if there is any complex query which Medu by default does not cover, like you could not find that way to implement, there is also option you can write a custom MySQL queries as well, like the raw queries, like without using the basic standard of Medu. You can write your own custom queries as well. So it's a very supportive and simple library which helps a lot in so many enterprise grade level platforms. So I hope we are done here right now. Any developer who is looking for a comprehensive documentation, whether it's for routing, and again, these two are the main pillar of any project. One is the routing, and second is the database architecture. And we have tried to use the most simple way to understand, to develop, to execute, and the most minimalist approaches, because the both libraries are very light. Like the one is 60 KB or with 300 lines maximum, and this one is also a very lightweight, as you have seen, only 60 KB as well. So I think the router is also 60 or 30 KB.